we can get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Argo CD and Rollouts community meeting. I'll be your host for today. My name is Jesse Soon, and I am a maintainer and technical lead of the Argo projects. And for those of you who are new, the Argo projects are a collection of application delivery tooling centered around Kubernetes. And today, since we don't have any demos or features to kind of demonstrate today, but since both the CD and Rollouts just had a release in the past few weeks, Alex and I thought it would be a good chance to go over our roadmap and what we plan on working on next. Oh, and just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. And this will be posted to YouTube after. Okay, so do we have Alex here?
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to share the screen, or do you want to?
I can share it. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't mind. Okay. And unless you're muted, can you please mute yourself, because I'm hearing a noise from someone. Okay. Can you please confirm you can see my screen and you can hear me well?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So my name is Alexander, and I'm a software engineer at Intuit, and I work on Argo CD pretty much full-time. So, and today I'm going to talk about a roadmap. So the document is published, it's available. Let me send it in the chat. Okay, I will post it in chat as soon as I'm done. And I guess the main goal is to kind of briefly, go through the roadmap items and maybe explain some, reasons like why this order, why exactly these items. And I guess for in the interest of time, we can discuss, I can answer questions later on in Slack or in chat. Okay, so let's start. The first item in our list is bug fixes. And so they kind of recently Argo CD got a lot more users, and that revealed bugs and just some inconveniences and required enhancements. And we plan to deliver, we kind of accumulated, we went through all the bugs and tried to identify the most critical ones. And we were planning to fix all of them as part of 1.7 release. And I think we almost accomplished that goal. I feel like we fixed maybe 70% of all the bugs. And because 1.7 accumulated a lot of useful enhancements, we decided to publish it with just 70% of fixed bugs. And we keep working on these bug fixes, and we basically plan to deliver these fixes as part of 1.7 patch releases. So expect to see like 1 or 2 more patch releases for 1.7, and these releases will have the bug fixes which we could not fix. Okay, so I guess not so many questions about this item. And next is performance. And so again, because of growth in number of users and growth in usage, we basically discovered several limitations in some Argo CD components. So, and as you might know, Argo CD has 3 components. API server, repository server, and application controller. And we found some scalability limits in all of them. And this is what this item is about. So as part of 1.8 release, we want to support a lot of applications, a lot of clusters, and a lot of applications in a single Git repository. So, and I'm not going to kind of go into details too much here, but the idea is that you don't have to deploy multiple Argo CDs to manage a lot of applications. Instead, we want you to be able to just create one Argo CD and connect as many clusters as you want and create as many applications as needed. Okay. And as soon as we finish performance problems, I'm going to give me just 1 second. I want to stop the noise in the background. Sorry about that. Okay, so as soon as we finish working on performance issues, the next problem we want to solve is a management problem. So we want to allow Argo CD users to be able to create a lot of applications, but it's still, we don't have a good answer how to manage that many applications in Argo CD. Right now, the only answer we have is so-called app of apps pattern. And this is basically just a suggestion to use config management tool to produce Argo CD applications. And that approach works well, but it can be improved. And we are trying to improve it by implementing application set CID. And I believe today we're going to hear more about the project and what it's trying to do. Okay, and I feel like these first kind of 3 items, bug fixes, performance, and application set, as soon as we finish all 3 of them, Argo CD will be in a really kind of stable and good state. Sorry about the noise. And then, so Argo CD will be in a much better shape, and we can kind of move next and work on, on features. And then the first feature which we really want to implement is improve Argo CD user interface, and we want to provide basically better UI for very large applications. And it's really not a performance problem. So the problem we're trying to solve is just user experience. And example is, so if you have a large application which simply have a lot of replicas, basically multiple pods, even that simple case is not really supported now, because this large list of pods will just take too much space in the application details page, and it's really hard to see other resources. So we want to basically implement a set of improvements, maybe add additional filters, add grouping of resources, and hopefully it will resolve this inconvenience. Okay. The next item is supportability, and I'm not sure if it's the best name, but basically idea here is that we want to make sure Argo CD has all the tools which are required to maintain it. And I guess the success would be that everyone who run Argo CD no longer have to ask for help in Argo Slack channel, but instead can just use the tools which we develop and can find the answer, like why Argo CD is slow, or like why diffing is not working as expected. And this is, I realize it's a stretch goal. It's basically never possible. Like there is always room for improvement, but we want to spend at least like 1 cycle, and we want to revise all the tools which we already have. We want to make sure all of them are documented, and then basically improve the situation and then continue. So I guess we'll continue working on it forever. Okay. And I want to move on. Next item. Next two items are related, and I want to start from this one, GitOps agent. So we've heard from many users that they really like Argo CD, but there are some cases where Argo CD looks a little bit too heavy, and the cases are cluster bootstrapping, for example. So if you are cluster admin and all you need is just a tool that can manage system level components in your cluster, then you don't need UI and you don't need users, SSO. All of these enterprise features are pretty much not needed. And this is exactly what GitOps agent is. It's a simplified version of Argo CD, which maybe don't even have a user interface. It's just a CLI and much less number of components. And the best comparison is Flux V1. So it's pretty much the same experience we want to get. And good thing that we don't have to basically start a new project. We don't have to re-implement Argo CD just to get the CLI tool. And we don't have to do it because we have GitOps engine. And GitOps engine is a library which is pretty much, right now, it's part of our, it used to be Argo CD core features. We moved them into a library. And now that library powers Argo CD. Some additional projects use that library. So, and we plan to use that library to create GitOps agent. And we know that library is not complete yet because there are still some features of Argo CD which we want to contribute back to that library. And examples are better diffing customization, integration with config management tools, and better syncing annotations. Right now, these annotations are Argo CD specific, and we want to support kind of customizable annotation names. Okay, so time check. I still have 2 minutes, and I will try to complete it really quick. As soon as we're done with GitOps agent, we want to we want to add support for more config management tools. And we already have several open tickets in Argo CD to support basically more config management tools. And we are not doing that yet. And the reason is every new tool is a lot of commitment. Basically, as soon as tool is added, we're supposed to keep upgrading it. We want to, every new feature in the tool means some code changes in Argo CD. So it's a difficult decision for us to add a new tool. And instead, we want to figure out the improve existing integration through basically through shell script. And we want to make sure that its user himself can integrate Argo CD with any tool. And we're hoping that we can make this integration. So basically, we want to improve it so the user experience would be the same as first-class tool support. Okay. So next set of items is about, it's not really about Argo CD, it's about basically Argo Labs projects. So we want to make sure that Argo CD has good notifications. It has it has features that help you to integrate Argo CD with the CI tool. Plus, we want to improve user experience, which is related to resource management. So these tools are kind of not really core of Argo CD, but like users really want them because it really improves user experience. So the first one is resource actions revamp. And you maybe don't even know this feature exists. And the reason is it was developed as, just to provide a good integration with Argo rollouts, but we believe there is a lot of potential in that feature, and we want to, take effort and document it well and make sure users can contribute their own actions. Next is Argo notifications. So the project already exists, it's working, and we want to spend one release and make sure that all the bugs in Argo notifications are fixed, it's robust, and it has good integration with Argo CD. And finally, automated registry monitoring. This is another feature which was requested by multiple users, and we never implemented it as part of Argo CD because we believe it's not, the core feature. So instead, we want to create an optional component which can be installed next to Argo CD, and that component is Argo CD image updater. So it's already a work in progress, and hopefully we'll get a first GA version soon. And in the interest of time, I want to stop now, and basically I want to discuss remaining items in Slack. And please feel free to ask questions about everything I described so far. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Before we move on, any questions on some of the items that Alex brought up? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So now I'll go over the roadmap for Argo rollouts. So we now have a Markdown file that's checked into the Argo rollouts GitHub repo, and everything here is subject to change as with Argo CD. But the way at least we've been doing is that if you follow the GitHub milestones, you can kind of see where they might fall into the releases, and then depending on if things slip or not, things might get shifted around. Okay, so for rollouts, the first thing we had was just a continuation of the validation work that we've been doing in rollout. So before 0.9, it was really easy to make mistakes in the rollout, and then you wouldn't know about those mistakes until the replica set tried to get created, and you were missing something in your pod spec. So we've actually now improved that, but there's some additional improvements that we could do. So we could do something like a validating webhook to even prevent objects from entering the system, provide a linting command in the CLI to actually statically lint your objects. So here's some improvements we can do there. Another requested feature was notifications of a rollout. It's like when a rollout degrades or when it completely finishes, users would like a push-based model where the rollout controller itself could notify some external system about the success or failure of a rollout. And a good example is like I want to know via Slack if my rollout failed its deployment. But it should be generic enough to integrate with any web-based API. Next is ephemeral canary labeling. So this is by far the most requested feature in Argo rollouts, and essentially what this feature is doing is there isn't a good way to come up with a query that compares your canary and your stable pods, and then for example put a static query and put those in like say a dashboard. And the reason why that's hard is because when we label the pods of rollouts replica set, we only label it with a hash of the pod template, and that hash is always changing. Every change you make to your rollout is going to result in a new replica set with a brand new hash, which is not predictable for creating dashboards. So this feature is all about can we let a user define a label? Let's say I have a label called roll equals canary, and so for the duration that a replica set is a canary, it will have that label or annotation. And then as soon as it reaches full promotion, then we would remove it, that label. So these are ephemeral labels that get attached to the pods. And if we had this feature, it would make dashboarding much easier. You can have these static dashboards that you in Grafana or Datadog or something, and just have a view of your canary versus your stable set. But it will also make your metric analysis templates easier to write as too, because today without this feature, we have this facility where we can, you have to pass the pod hash to the analysis template and formulate a query based on that argument. So this should just improve like that whole user experience. So rollback windows, this is a feature that I've been thinking about. So oftentimes when you are rolling back, you want to get to that older version as soon as possible. But the problem is, how do you distinguish between something that is just a normal upgrade, like it goes through analysis, goes through steps, and versus something that you just want to get to as fast as possible and skip all those things. So a rollback window is a proposal to define from your previous history of replica sets. If the controller notices you going back to that revision, it'll make a decision to skip all analysis, skip all pauses and stuff, and just get to that version as soon as possible. And that would be some user-defined stanza in your rollout spec to allow like how to do it. Like if it could be time-based, maybe anything in your revision history limit you want to fast track rollback, but the idea is that it would be configurable. And then finally, the next two items are related to more advanced traffic shaping. So as you may note, things like Istio and Linkerd have some advanced controls that you can do to shape your traffic. The one is header-based routing. So instead of just like a percentage, like I want 5% to go to my canary, you can do it based on a HTTP header. So maybe you want only Mozilla users or Firefox users or users with a specific cookie to hit the canary. And so if we provided a new canary step that says route based on this header, then you can get way more advanced progressive delivery than just percentage based. Similarly, these service meshes have the ability to shadow traffic to a canary. So if you want to, stand up your canary stack, but get shadow traffic from your live production, and just to see how it responds to live traffic, this is another feature that we can leverage from these mesh providers. Okay. So that's all I had for the Argo rollouts roadmap, and I'll stop here for questions. All right. So next, we have Shobik from Red Hat, who will be introducing some new maintainers to the Argo projects.
Thanks, Jess. Hey, I'm Shobik. I'm from Red Hat. You must have heard in some of the previous meetings that Ben and I and other maintainers was working on having a Bootstrap committee to ensure that there's governance being set up. While doing that, we are also having a good number of folks from Red Hat who would be joining the project as contributors. And over time, they'll be ramped up with different levels of commitment based on how soon one can ramp up and start contributing. So I'll do a quick around the table, which means I'll call out the names. In the interest of time, if you could just raise your hand, say a hi, just so that people recognize you. And if you go to Slack, people know who you are. So I'll start with William.
So hi, yes, my name's William. I'm from Red Hat. Very happy to join the community.
Thank you. Hey, Chetan.
Hey everyone, Chetan. I'm from Red Hat. I'm from India. Really excited to contribute and be part of Argo City community. Thank you.
Thank you for joining this meeting at this time of the day, Chetan. Gagan.
Hey everyone, I'm Gagan. I'm from Red Hat. Happy to be part of the community. Thanks, Shobhik, for the introduction.
Thank you. Jaydeep, do you want to go next?
Hi everybody, I'm Jaydeep. I'm also from Red Hat, and I'll be joining this effort as well. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. Mitch and Regina will be going next. So just to give you a quick introduction, which I missed before this. So the team will be primarily focusing on ramping up the contributions towards Argo CD as well, which includes the UI, the backend, everything, as well as the serviceability perspective or the supportability thing, which you mentioned, Alex, which means that we want to ensure that Argo CD is also well deliverable to users and administrators. That could be as a Helm chart or the operator. So the team will actually be focusing on all those areas. So yeah, with that, I'll continue with the introductions. Mitch, do you want to go next?
Yes, hey everybody. My name is Mitch, Red Hat. Really great stuff going on here. Very interesting and looking forward to contributing.
Thank you, Mitch. Regina, do you want to go next?
Hey everyone, I'm Regina. It's great to be here. Argo seems like a really fantastic community, so super excited to be a part of it now.
Thank you, Regina. So with that, we also have folks who are not at Red Hat, who are at the university right now, but they wish to be contributing into Argo CD and the Argo projects as well. So this group of introductions are for those folks. Dhanashree, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone, I'm Dhanashree. I was a co-op at Red Hat and I recently ended it, and I am very excited to be a contributor in Argo CD as a student as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ishita, do you want to go next? Oh, she hasn't joined yet. No worries. Shraddha, do you want to go next?
Yep. Hello, everybody. This is Shraddha. Looking forward to be part of Argo City community. And thanks, Shovik, for the introduction.
Yep. Thank you. And finally, I think me and Ben will cover the overall, we'll contribute to the overall technical direction with the other maintainers across all the projects in the midterm, near term, and long term as well. Thank you. Back to you, Jess.
Thanks, Shobhik. Okay, so the next agenda item that we had was from Mike Goodness from MLB.com, and he's one of the early users and the people kind of shaping the application set project, and he has just maybe a little bit of talking about his use case and or whatever else he wanted to talk about. All right, it's all yours, Mike.
All right. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Jesse, for the introduction. My name is Mike Goodness. I am a principal DevOps engineer at Major League Baseball, working from home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm also a CNCF ambassador and an emeritus maintainer of the community Helm charts repository. I'm a longtime Argo CD fan. Started using it, I think, at least 2 years ago in my previous position at Ticketmaster. Loved it. They are still, Ticketmaster I know is still loving Argo CD. And then last summer when I moved, when I came over to MLB, I brought it along with me, and our use has really skyrocketed over the last year or so. So very happy to be part of the community. It's been great to meet Jesse and Alex and other members of the Argo project at KubeCon, and looking forward to doing that again someday. Anyway, so what I'm really here to talk about is our use as MLB use case for app sets. Some disclaimers right up front. I only volunteered to do this yesterday, so this is going to be very, very raw. Bear with me. I've also only been working with app sets for maybe a week, so you know, please take this all with a grain of salt. I'm not the best kind of position to give a State of the Union address for app sets, but what I can show you is how I envision using them at MLB. Can I get screen control there, Jesse? Thank you. All right, so I'm going to start off by showing a couple of the app sets that I've created here. Hopefully everybody can see my code window here. The use case that I'm really working on right now is for what we call cluster services. So these are services that get rolled out to essentially every cluster at MLB. And we run one cluster per development. It's usually per kind of organization, development team. And then we have per environments, so prod, non-prod, and then per region. We are running in GCP. We just switched to Google Cloud this year, so we are running GKE. So if you do that math, that works out to be quite a few clusters. And when we're deploying the same application across all of those clusters, it gets to be a lot of individual Argo CD application manifests. So when I heard about app sets as a possible solution or a way to cut down on the number of manifests that we have to kind of hand roll, I was pretty enthusiastic. So what you can see here is we have a handful of them that I've gone ahead and created. I thought the Argo Rollouts app set was especially apt, given this is the Argo CD and Rollouts community meeting. But then we also have applications, Cert Manager, a custom metrics provider, external DNS, internal ingress, and Kube-State metrics. What we're doing is we are using the cluster generator. So AppSet provides or will provide a number of different ways of generating application manifests. The one that I'm using right now is the cluster generator, which looks at all of the clusters that you have configured in Argo CD and can apply label selectors just like any other Kubernetes controller. You can, so any secret that has a given label, any cluster secret that has a given label can be used by the app set to generate the list of applications. So I'll just walk through this one real quick. So this is the kind of the standard metadata. We're defining cluster generator, and we're saying for every Argo CD cluster secret that is tagged with either labeled with either region equals US Central 1 or region equals US East 4, we want to select that cluster. Further, and actually what we're going to do is say, and it has to have the environment label set to NPD for non-prod, and the org label has to match bdata SF. This is our business, our baseball data team out in San Francisco. So when the application set controller looks for secrets, it's going to look for that combination of labels. Then what it's going to do is it's going to take the values from those secrets, from those clusters that it finds, and it's going to apply them it's going to template out the application definition. So in this case, we're going to create an application that has this metadata. We're going to fill in, we're going to pull the cluster label from that secret, and we're going to insert it here as a cluster label on the application itself. Ditto for environment, org, region. We're also going to take those values and insert them into the name of the application itself. Here we're prefixing the application with cluster services, and then Argo rollouts, and then again, org-n-region.cluster. Down here in the spec, we're doing everything you would have to do in an Argo CD application manifest, but we're also doing a little bit of templating here. So what we're going to do is, again, we're using the values that comes from that cluster secret, and we're inserting it here. So we're saying, deploy this application to every server that matches those labels. And essentially each one of these is essentially the same. We're kind of standardizing the way that we do this templating. The differences for my use case right now is, for example, the cert manager, we're using customize overlays. So this is the path pattern that we use in our cluster services config repository to get to those cert manager overlays. So we're doing some additional templating there. And that's kind of the long and the short of it. So what I want to show you now, I'm going to actually flip Windows over to my browser, which shows a handful. Well, it shows those app sets actually deployed to a cluster. So this is our here's our label selector, bdata.sf, npd, ng. This is these are all of the applications deployed from the app set to our US East 4 cluster. So using those app sets, this is what it's generated, and they're all up to date. They're all deployed. It's wonderful. It's great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back. Sorry, I'm on a widescreen monitor and wanted to make sure everybody can see clearly. So what I'm going to do now is down here in my terminal, I'm actually going to, you can see that we only have deployments, we only had applications deployed to that US East 4 cluster because my US Central 1 cluster doesn't have a region label. And that was part of the selector for those applications. So now what I'm going to do is add that label back on to that cluster. So now you can see it has the label. I'm going to flip back. This might be the last time, I'm not sure. And what should happen shortly is we should start seeing a whole bunch of new applications pop up here. Come on, live demo, don't fail me now.
Well, it'll be our fault. I didn't really. Okay, here you go. Nice.
So all of these applications have been now created in Argo CD, and they are automatically syncing up. And I have every faith, because believe it or not, this is not the first time I've gone through this. I have every reason to believe that everything is going to work and sync up, and we'll be up and running. And now I've got this cluster kind of bootstrapped with our cluster services.
Wow.
So this is kind of our, that's my cluster services use case. That'll be, that's how we will roll out applications to all of our clusters. But then we also run at least one cluster in each of the major league ballparks. And we run a set of applications in each of those ballparks for collecting baseball statistics and player and pitch tracking. And I envision, once we've dog fooded this a little bit more, I envision using app sets to roll those applications out to all the ballparks as well. And then, of course, there are use cases for deploying multiple instances or releases of the same application to the same cluster or to a set of organization clusters. So I really see a lot of potential for app sets to cut down on the number of handwritten manifests that we'll have to write. It's really pretty exciting stuff.
Great, thanks, Mike. Your use case is eerily similar to like what we're trying to do as well. And then so yeah, and I think that's why Alex is working so hard on the scalability things, because we're trying to do, attach. Actually, how many clusters do you have attached to your Argo CD? Roughly?
Sure. I can. You know what? I can do that count real quick. I believe we're at 8. I believe we're at 82.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we're at 82 clusters, and I want to say 1,300 applications.
That's a good try. Yeah. So Alex has been working hard on the the scalability and performance things that we've been facing, because we're trying to attach. Right now, I think we're about at 160 clusters attached to our control plane Argo CD, trying to get to 200, and that's when we just start noticing some of these performance problems.
Yeah, we've had I've heard my share of complaints about the lag UI and slow application resolution. So yeah, we're also really excited about the scalability work, and we'll be happy to help however we can.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Yes. Can I add something about the application set?
Yeah.
So I just want to summarize from the standpoint of the project a little bit after the amazing demo. So you all know the cluster proposal is working. We have more proposals and more use cases around Git and around list, and some more in the proposal. There is a bunch of issues in the Argo, in the application set GitHub. I sent the link in the chat earlier. I will post it again now. And you're all welcome to come and join and contribute a little more. There's also a Slack channel for application set. So if you need help with using it or with adding some code, you can pop in the Slack channel.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize it was in the as good a state as it's in, because I haven't been able to keep up with the activity. That's great. Thanks. Okay, and I think I have one quick update. Let me share. So with the advent of all the new developers coming in, we did two things. When we have an official Google Calendar that you can choose to add to your Outlook or your Google Calendar. So this contains the community meetings, but what you'll see is that there's this new meeting that we're going to start next week. It's called the Argo Contributor Experience Office Hours. And so essentially the maintainers will be there for an hour on Thursdays, just for kind of ad hoc discussions for our, both our new contributors as well as, anyone else who wants to contribute. And we feel like this will be a more effective way if, there's some kind of nitty-gritty type of problem that we need to discuss that in person versus over Slack. This is like a good forum to bring up those issues, and also to get to know the maintainers, for us to get to know the new people joining. So this is open to everyone, and yeah, we'll just chat in there. Okay, and then
do you mind if I quickly add to that a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've created also a GitHub issue to seek more feedback on how can we do the contributor experience office hours better, which means that as one of the initial sessions, we would effectively go over things like what's the best way to set up the development environment to get going. And then something that people have a hump, there's the first hump is that how do I get started with my first code issue? Which means that there are a lot of good first issues out there, which may or may not be very time consuming, but it's good to get help from folks to understand how do I get started with my first contribution. So we'll try to focus on some of those. And while we do that, we want to also ensure that the maintainers have a way to communicate with contributors in a more synchronous manner and vice versa, to ensure that if there's something that's not very well written out, documented, but it's somewhere well known to folks, those things should also gradually be well socialized with folks. Having said that, these are some of the things that we think is a good start, but if you have ideas on how to make this better, if you want any specific sessions, that could be Argo CD, Argo rollouts, or Argo workflows, for example, feel free to add your comment in the GitHub issue, which I pasted. Jess, if you could put that in the agenda,
Yeah.
that'll be awesome.
Okay,
that
I
way
will do that.
we can crowdsource what topics we need for that as well. Yeah. Back to you, Jess.
Right. Okay, and then I see the last one. We had an added talk about Argo events at KubeCon. I'm not sure who added that, but does someone want to explain that topic?
Yes, I'm Darshan. I did that. So I did not attend the KubeCon Europe that just happened, but I think I've been attending some other CNCF projects meetings. And basically the idea is each project gets to have a few slots for talks that they can give at the KubeCon. I think they are intro and deep dives, and maybe some more. So the I think Argo City should basically utilize those chances and those slots to the maximum. I think some projects which do a good job there is, in my opinion, Thanos and Prometheus. And Prometheus is sort of quite old and like it's used, but Thanos is sort of a newcomer, but it I think uses the whole platform very effectively. So I think the Argo project could also sort of maybe I'm not sure like what's the like how do you improve on that, or like what the current status is, but it's just a idea there.
Yeah, so I know now that we are incubating project, we're getting a booth for sure, or we get a booth at the KubeCons. I think it's a Meet the Maintainers booth, and it's just kind of like an open time for folks to drop in and talk with the maintainers. Someone could also correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we also could more easily get actually a talking spot at KubeCon. But this year I think was a little unusual, as you know, and we didn't do as much planning for this KubeCon, or the EU, I should say. But I think going forward, our PM is always encouraging us to submit talks and make a presence at KubeCon. So.
Yeah, and so I feel like we kind of have to admit we didn't do much in this year, but we did presentations in previous KubeCons, and I guess we didn't do it this time because of it's virtual, and so basically for us it would be, so we kind of chose to focus on bug fixes and delivering and yeah, instead of preparing for a talk. And I do hope that next KubeCon is not going to be virtual anymore.
It's not directly KubeCon related, but CNCF related. I'm happy to report that we did on July 30th, we did a talk for the CNCF on GitOps with Argo and CodeFresh. And for the last month, it's in their top 10 most popular rewatched videos. So that's great to see.
Great.
Like to see the interest in Argo in that way.
So there's a video recording for that link?
Yeah, you want me to, I can put it up, hang on.
Yeah, you can, that's something we definitely like to add to the, we link to like a lot of these type of presentations. So either you can send a pull request just adding to that list, and or you can Slack me and I'll add it myself.
Started. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, I can throw it in. Where's the doc that you like to keep these? I can go make a pull request.
Oh, I think that's in just
README file of Argo CD.
Yeah, I think it's the main README file of just down here.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I'll do that right now.
All right. So I think that's all the topics we had planned for today. And I'm happy to stick around for a few more minutes to talk about any other topics that people have.
One thing I planned to do, but I didn't during the roadmap presentation, it was clear that it's impossible to discuss roadmap within this hour, but I expect that, if you have a question or if you want a proposal to change something in the roadmap, I would propose to start the thread in our Slack channel, because I know that it was kind of, we come up with list of priorities. It doesn't mean this list of priorities is set in stone. And, if majority of community wants to change it, then let us know, please.
Yeah, this is kind of like your chance to kind of get involved in shape that that roadmap item. So a lot of times we, put forward the proposal, what the spec would look like, try to get solicit feedback, make sure it's solving people's use cases. And this is all about trying to get these things in front of our community members early, so that we get a chance to make sure it's addressing a real need. So. All right. Well, thanks everyone for attending, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the workflows community meeting. For those of you.
Hi, Jesse. I'm sorry to butt in, but apparently raising hands doesn't work here. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I also saw Richard Simpson wanted to say something. But my quick question is, I've started a study just the other week, and it's not that often that I can start it like a cluster and an entire workflow all the way from the beginning that often. So my cluster of choice was a set of Raspberry Pis, of course, and the first thing I ran into was the multi-arch support inside of any part of Argo CD. So I was wondering how many other architecture deployments have you seen of Argo, and are there any plans of supporting these types of deployments?
So you need CD to run on a Raspberry Pi? Is that the problem?
Yeah, well, usually, like if you for example use the same manifest of let's say an Nginx, it will automatically choose the correct compiled architecture for whatever machine you're going to deploy to. And within Go, it's super easy to like recompile or to cross-compile things to different architectures. Right. And with Argo CD, like just applying the normal manifest, it basically doesn't do that because the images don't support these multiple architecture. I think there are markers or something that are set up in the manifests. This is something I ran into just the other day, and I'm just wondering how many non-x86 46 bits deployments have you seen?
To be honest, I haven't seen much. I think this is the first request I've heard for. Maybe Alex, have you gotten much request for?
I
different architectures?
Yeah. I feel like I cannot give you the number, but it's more than one for sure. So people want to run it on Arch, and we are not there yet. Like you cannot apply the same set of manifests, but so far we got to a stage where it's possible to compile. Basically, you can build image for Arch architecture, and it works. So that was tested already, and we kind of stuck. We don't publish those images yet because we just don't have CI infrastructure to build those images. And literally last week, someone made a research about it, and the person found a GitHub action that can build this type of image using GitHub actions, basically using our CI infrastructure. And then
that was me.
I guess. Mm-hmm.
That was me.
Thank
I
you.
was I was actually about to bring that up, but yeah, I just discovered recently that there is that support coming.
Yeah, and that's great. So hopefully now we can. I think we're totally open to update our CI and start building Arch image as well.
So is it true that the same Docker container image is able to serve? Like, would it bundle multiple binaries inside it?
Effectively, the way that the Docker format is constructed is that you'll essentially package up all the different architectures into a single publish, but then the cluster can pull down the appropriate layers for the target architecture.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They're different container images, different container manifests with different IDs, but they're in a manifest list. Like the coordinates, when you pull the container is a manifest list that will list for this architecture, here's the ID of the image, for this architecture, here's the ID you should pull. That way the images have the same coordinates, but the actual container image will be different, pulled for each architecture.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the change that happened.
I'm sorry, Alex, go ahead.
It was someone else. It wasn't me.
The one thing I wanted to say is, like, I expect to see this type of usage increase as you can actually deploy instances of non-x86 machines in cloud providers more and more these days.
Right, I agree. And there's other, like, I'm aware of on within my company, within Red Hat, we will have desire. There's certain non-x86 desires we'll have as well, because that's the platforms we support, for example. So I think with the Graviton processors, with Raspberry Pis, with other platforms and cloud providers, it's something to start thinking through how Argo plays in those non-x86 worlds.
Yeah, this makes sense to me. I think.
I need to run to another meeting, but I was just going to mention, I think we actually have some ARM build infrastructure that we'd be happy to donate to the cause, if that's useful.
Yeah. We'll probably need to take you up on that offer.
Okay, I'll check it with you later. See you.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's definitely sounds like we'd be something we want to do. So if feel free to pick up issues or something kind of to march towards that goal. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you on Slack and then our next community meeting.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.